Gaming news today is all about the sequel. We have Hogwarts Legacy 2 speculation, maybe some information because there is new info from insiders about Hogwarts Legacy DLC, length of time, price, all of that included. But there's also a landing page for Resident Evil 9 that has caused quite a stir. In addition to that, we now have new information about Halo Infinite 2, or the next mainline Halo, from the Xbox Era podcast with respect to release timing. There has been also some new glimpses at Blade with concept art on their website I'll show to you in just a moment. And the next Helldivers update got pushed back by just a little bit, but it's also just around the corner. So if you guys like this kind of content, I also end these opening segments before I discuss things with the live audience. I also give you some games to put on your radar, and today I've got one to avoid, one to check out, and two to put on your wish lists. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on the content, and consider hitting like or supporting the channel directly with a Member Plus subscription. You get into all the content, including some of the gameplay of the games that I recommend. Now, let's kick things off with Hogwarts Legacy, okay? Obviously, the sequel to Hogwarts Legacy is all but confirmed. There was a statement from earlier this year about it. It was incredibly commercially successful, and it seems like the kind of game that you would just naturally make another game for. But recent murmurings around the game point to a new edition and a DLC to go along with it. Now, I pulled this from Insider Gaming, saying the following. Insider Gaming understands that a Hogwarts Legacy Definitive Edition is in development. Its content will be sold as a separate DLC for those with the existing game. Now, I'm honestly surprised it took this long for the DLC to come out. I remember in the early months, or at least early weeks or days after the release of Hogwarts Legacy, there was questions about Hogwarts Legacy DLC. They essentially said that they did not want to talk about that until it landed on other platforms. If you don't remember, Hogwarts Legacy had a very strange, sort of staggered release date structure. It came to the old-gen consoles a couple of months later, and then the Nintendo Switch even later than that. So to me, it's somewhat strange they have waited this long to even confirm, announce, or have a trailer for it, but this definitive edition will apparently come with a pretty good amount of content. More from Insider Gaming. The Definitive Edition is said to have around 10 to 15 hours of additional content with a new story quest, side quests, activities, and outfits. So, obviously, when you hear this, it begs the question, when will it finally show up and what will it cost? Well, Insider Gaming has more information on that. Details on when the edition and/or DLC will be released and its price are still in flux. Still, some sources have suggested that it could be released in 2025 to bolster Warner Brothers' diminishing gaming revenue following the weak performance of Kill the Justice League. It's been suggested that the DLC will be between $20 and $30. Now, this naturally leads to questions about, is there going to be a sequel? Well, we know there's going to be a sequel. When will that sequel land, given how successful the first game has been? Well, Insider Gaming pulled a quote from earlier this year, and I think it gives some insight into what the timeline may look like. They said the following. Warner Brothers Discovery CFO Gunnar Weidenfels said that the successor to Hogwarts Legacy is, quote, one of the biggest priorities in a couple of years down the road. Now, I would think that the earliest we see the sequel is 2026. That would be roughly 3 years from the first game, and with staggered release dates, they may have been able to use a good portion of 2023 to start working on the DLC, which honestly makes me think that 2027 is a more likely release date for Hogwarts Legacy 2. Sequels can land a bit quicker given all of the existing assets, but that's assuming the sequel would take place primarily in the Hogwarts castle again, since that's the bulk of what they spent their time probably building. The surrounding world was quite good, but I'm sure there was a significant amount of more work that went into the castle itself. Now, that would certainly save a ton of development time if we're just sort of in Hogwarts again, and they did an excellent job with that part of the game. Still surprised they did not receive any sort of awards or nominations for the art direction of the Hogwarts castle specifically, but it wouldn't exactly maybe feel like a genuine sequel if it doesn't venture to some of the other wizarding schools or locations in the world of Harry Potter. For now, fans will have to wait, and 10 to 15 hours of new content will likely show up next year to help you with that wait. But that's not the only game to get some sequel buzz. If you're familiar with the Resident Evil franchise, fans of that franchise have been anxious to see when the next game's coming out. Resident Evil 8 here, footage for you as I talk about this. Resident Evil 9 announcement should be happening soon from what we're seeing, because early in the morning on Sunday, October the 13th, a Metacritic page for Resident Evil 9 was discovered, prompting a flurry of theories. Now, most were suggesting that this meant that there was an announcement that would be taking place very soon. Resident Evil 8, or Resident Evil Village, launched in May of 2021, roughly 4 years after Resident Evil 7. So if that cadence is maintained, 2025 would be 4 years since the last main Resident Evil game or new Resident Evil game released. Now, in the wake of this discovery, some have started suggesting that the Game Awards would be the likely target for the next event with announcements like this. And apparently, previous Resident Evil announcements were leaked just like this in a similar way. So keep your eyes peeled. The Resident Evil 9 announcement, it could happen any day now. And that's just sort of the theme of today's show and today's news, because keeping in the theme with sequels, the next Halo is allegedly closer than we think. During a recent podcast of the Xbox Era podcast, Special Nick said that a little birdie may have told him that the next mainline Halo game is not as far away as we all assumed. He went on to say that this doesn't mean it's going to be out just like next year, but it isn't quite as far away as people might think. Now, we know from recent reports that more work was done on the next Halo than some of us originally thought. They were basically working on things for the next Halo Infinite, which I found to be a bit strange. I assumed a lot of the campaign work and a lot of the work done under Joseph Staten's leadership and under his heading, I thought they were going to be just baking things into the world of Halo Infinite. So the fact that they were actually working on the next game, but they were also working on little small incubations of things in Unreal, which is why we're landing the next game in Unreal, because I think they learned that they liked that engine maybe more, and hopefully they can get some help from the Coalition as well. So at the very earliest, work started on the initial stages of the next Halo in early 2023. I mean, at the very earliest, 2023 could have been they were scoping out the story and where they wanted to go next, maybe not actually building the game. So if it lands in 2026, that would only be very, very rough 3 years of dev time, not even a full 3 years, given the fact that they basically halted everything, stopped, and now they're switching engines. It is safe to assume that the Coalition are being brought in to help, along with maybe even Epic Games, as somebody from Epic Games is actually featured in the New Dawn Halo Studios video. But I would worry about that quick of a turnaround time, given the engine change and the very likely that the direction change will be happening for the game as well. It was speculated on an IGN podcast, and it came from two what I would consider to be fairly pro-Xbox commentators on that IGN podcast, that Halo is likely headed to PlayStation 5 in the future. If that is the case, and you want to introduce and onboard new people into the franchise, if you want new players and you want to convince them that this is a great new era for Halo, I would not rush the next game. And based on what Special Nick said, I would think that maybe we see something in 2026, but hopefully not until 2027 at the earliest, to give the new efforts the best chance at being excellent as possible. In the meantime, I think some of the rumors and speculation around Halo will likely land a bit earlier. There's the Combat Evolved remake, okay? There's been some side-by-sides of this trailer here where they're doing with like Halo 3 location side-by-sides, and it's pretty compelling that they might be going back and doing things with maybe all of the original games or the Master Chief Collection. We don't know, but we will know something very soon, because from this video, we know that something is happening with the Master Chief Collection on November the 11th of 2024. That's less than a month away, and we'll obviously report on that when we have new information. Now, from the Xbox side of things, we also got a new look at Blade, and it wasn't much, but I actually think it looks pretty cool. Arcane was celebrating their 25th anniversary, and they posted a blog post, and it contained an art collage of their biggest games, and Blade made an appearance. Now, while their initial trailer is just a cinematic teaser, we really don't have a ton of info. It's being developed by Arcane Lyon. It will be a, quote, third-person single-player mature original story set in Paris, and the announcement also said nothing about platforms. If you remember, it showed up during an event, and there was no mention of Xbox, there was no mention of Game Pass, there was no mention of exclusivity. And it showed up before Xbox made it clear they were moving more to a multi-plat publishing strategy. Now, I said at the time that if it were exclusive to Xbox, they would have been saying that from the very beginning. It would have been a very strong marketing point for Xbox, especially going into the holidays, because that's when the announcement sort of landed, like right before fourth quarter. So I think this will mimic what we are seeing with Doom: The Dark Ages. This will land on Xbox, PC, and PlayStation 5 at the exact same time. Now, they could continue to do staggered release dates like they're doing with Indiana Jones, but by the time Blade shows up, I have a feeling the more common practice will be multi-plat day-and-day releases across all platforms, simply because that is what Xbox has signaled. That is what they have seemingly shown they are willing to do. Now, we'll obviously have to wait and see what the Nintendo Switch 2 is able to do in this equation. Will it be getting games like this or not, dependent upon its performance and its power and its strength? We do know developers and publishers are not going to underestimate the Nintendo Switch this time around. As Bobby Kotick said, they really did underestimate that device because it wasn't very strong, but it certainly was strong in the market with respect to saturation. Xbox has, however, made it very clear. Exclusives are a thing of the past for their brand. And looking to the future, they're going to be likely taking games like Blade across the aisle as soon as they come out, because in their mind, there is no aisle anymore. Now, looking to the future of other games that have been trying to figure things out, Helldivers 2 continues to try to get back in the good graces of its community, and the Helldivers 2 60-day update was delayed just a teeny bit. In the wake of Escalation of Freedom landing and seeing an increase in negative scores for the game in response to some pretty unwarranted and unwanted nerfs, the devs made assurances that they would listen and course correct. Now, since then, they have pushed out a lot of buffs that I typically just, I have a video calling them a Band-Aid. I don't think they were the be-all, end-all solution, but it certainly helped improve player morale, and it did bring the player counts up a little bit higher than they were, and they've seemingly maintained a decent amount of daily engagement, although if you look at Steam, there is a steady decline, as typically happens with games like this when they release something new. It sort of causes a surge, and then it starts to trickle down from there. And the 60-day update was going to land on October the 12th, and then they realized that that would be a Saturday, and according to GameRant.com, quote, while the other plans involved releasing a major update in exactly 60 days, which would have landed it on October the 12th, Arrowhead has backtracked on that statement after realizing a gaffe in scheduling would set the patch for a launch on Saturday. Quote, it's on Saturday and we don't patch during weekends because we don't want to break the game while you're playing the game, creative director stated in a recent video posted to the game's official Twitter page. Instead, the update has been moved forward to October the 15th, a Tuesday, which is the day of the week that Helldivers patches typically land. So if you're watching this on Monday the 14th, that's tomorrow. If you're watching this on the 15th or after, you'll have to see if it really did anything to help. Now, we're going to monitor, and I want to see just how much this impacts player sentiment and engagement with Helldivers 2, a game that seemingly captured the attention of the whole world when it launched, has now landed in very strange territory. But the devs appear to be committed to improving the game and listening to feedback. So it's time to put some games, on your wish lists and your radar, because that's pretty much it. There's bugs on your radar in Helldivers, and I want to put some games on your radar or your wish lists right now. Now, the first game, however, I'm going to tell you is not necessarily for your radar in a good way. This is actually a game that I'm encouraging people to avoid. Starship Troopers Extermination. My experience on console was largely pretty terrible. There were bugs, there were glitches, and it was a somewhat boring and dated gameplay content loop, and the overall experience felt more like a technical test for a game from the early 2000s rather than a newly launched game. AI rarely worked correctly. I was trying the game out by myself, and they would get stuck, they would get lost. They seemingly were not able to even properly pathfind past basic obstacles. Then people told me that that I should go play the multiplayer. Well, even before I tried out the multiplayer, the missions were just largely staying the exact same, right? It was very, very basic. So I thought, okay, let me try the multiplayer. The multiplayer didn't really fare much better. There were bugs, there were glitches, I was getting stuck in stuff. And then the crescendo to the fight was something that I actually think people will enjoy if they can get this game into a better and more polished state. There's basically building mechanics. You can see some of the things here with building your base, and everybody's building and shooting and trying to fight. And it could have redeemed it, I honestly think. But game performance absolutely tanked during this section. It was difficult to even tell what was going on. There were times where I could not see because all of a sudden it was having like render glitches where it pretended I was in fog and I wasn't, or there was fire so I couldn't see, which is weird because you have to use fire quite a bit in this game. And there were so many bug bodies, it was causing all sorts of performance issues. So for me, it's a huge stay away on this one. Now, there are going to be people that reply and say, it's great, I'm having fun. I always just am going to tell you what my experience was and try to give you fair warning if I had a bad experience, because I had folks who were enjoying the game on Steam, you know, in its early access. They were coming into my stream and they were saying, oh, it's actually so much better than this. Even on Steam, though, the recent score is so much lower. It's at 49%. Now, overall, on Steam, it has an 84%. I think Steam users are maybe a little bit more forgiving when a game is in early access, but when it hits 1.0, expectations go up. This is it. This is the launch version of your game. You're now charging money for the game. The game seemingly has a pretty good score on PlayStation as well, which I find bewildering given all the problems, bugs, glitches, and even lag that I experienced. So that's one to avoid. Let me give you one that you can play right now. And this game is called Ember Knights. It released on Steam and the Nintendo Switch in July of 2023. It has a 93% on Steam. It's an action roguelite for 1 to 4 players. It's very straightforward, very easy to pick up, and it's my wife and I have enjoyed it. We actually played it on Friday night for members. That's another great reason to be a member and be here on those Friday night streams. Some of those streams might start taking place on Friday afternoon, but again, great reason to support the channel directly. Funny enough, I did not know this. We just started looking for fun games like this to play. This game has DLC launching tomorrow on both Steam and the Nintendo Switch. It is called Wrath of the Architect. It has Architect boss fight. It has 4 epic new bosses, 4 deadly new mini bosses, 4 new altered worlds, dozens of altered new enemies, 2 powerful new weapons, 9 devastating new skills, and more. There's also a free update for the game that's going to have a new daily dungeon game mode, a new boss rush mode, new chaos run mode, and 1 adorable Ember Dog. Now, currently, the devs have expressed interest in bringing this game to the other consoles, Xbox and PlayStation. Currently, it's just on Nintendo Switch and Steam, so that's one to definitely check out if you can get it on either of those platforms. I can't speak to its performance on the Nintendo Switch. It's not a super demanding game given its graphical style and it's just set up, and now there's not much available to be on the screen at one time. So I would definitely be sure to check that one out if you haven't already on Steam, if that's your kind of game. And again, they have brand new DLC. So I've given you one to avoid, I've given you one to play, and now it's time for one to put on your wish list. And this game is called Spine, a single-player action game with close quarters gunfights inspired by what they call gun fu movies. Not kung fu, but gun fu. Now, this is obviously a very John Wick-inspired game, along with Sifu, if you've played Sifu. And I actually think this game looks really, really fun. Somewhat original as well. Obviously, again, there's inspiration points, but it definitely looks like a game that could be really, really enjoyable and very, very quick moment-to-moment response time, reflexes, all those things people like in sort of visceral, parry, dodge, block, hit games like this. Now, this game is hitting Xbox Series consoles, PlayStation 5, and Steam, and you can wishlist it right now. The game is very, very active on Twitter. They've posted a video recently with John Wick's composer. I don't know if he's the composer for the entire game or if they just did like a mismatch. Currently, I expect the game to land sometime in 2025 based on recent posts and activity from them. There was a video that basically claimed, here's a bunch of great games coming in 2024 and 2025, and they retweeted it. So I don't think it's coming out the rest of this year because there's only 2.5 months left, and I don't think that they would not have their release date posted if that was the case. So you're probably looking at a 2025 release date for Spine. And I have a late edition, okay? I have told you guys about this game many, many times because it's on Game Pass, it's on Steam, and it's awesome. If you like roguelikes, if you like shooters, RoboQuest is an excellent game that you definitely need to check out. And it is coming to PS5. This is something I've been wanting to see happen for a very long time, so I could play this one with my son or play this one with my wife. It is really enjoyable. My wife and I loved Gunfire Reborn, and we were looking for another rogue shooter, okay? Right now, it is only wishlistable. They just put this trailer out like an hour ago. So go wishlist this on PlayStation. If you haven't yet checked out RoboQuest on Game Pass or on Steam, and you like those kind of games, really make sure and check that out as soon as possible. So just a quick recap, Hogwarts Legacy 2 and Hogwarts Legacy DLC, we're hearing murmurings that stuff will be coming very soon. The DLC is likely next year, and the sequel is probably about a year and a half to 2 years away. Resident Evil 9 had a landing page show up on Metacritic. The next Halo is closer than we think, according to an insider. We got a new look at Blade concept art. The Helldivers 2 update goes live tomorrow. Then I gave you a game to avoid, a game to play, and 2 games to put on your wish list. So that's the gaming news. Now it's time for the discussion. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Guys, thanks so much for being here for gaming news today. A little bit of a lighter gaming news time, but there was actually a lot to go over there. So be sure to let me know, what do you want to talk about? Did I miss anything? Is there anything going on in gaming news that I somehow didn't see or didn't cover? And for those of you that were there on Friday night, hopefully you enjoyed our very small stint in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. You guys went crazy with the goal, and one of you got to beat the tar out of me, and then I played some randoms, then I played the campaign, and then I quickly realized it's just not my kind of game, so we quickly switched to things like Ember Knights with my wife, as well as Brotato and some other games. So definitely check that out. My wife and I made it really far in Ember Knights. We made it the furthest we ever have. So appreciate you guys supporting the channel so much. Take a quick second, go through your morning ritual, smash that like button, and I am going to continue to throw down that gauntlet. I'm going to continue to throw down the gauntlet of, if we get 5 people to upgrade to Member Plus, I will drop a 20 bomb, okay? I'll do it. So get those upgrades in. We want to hit those new milestones. You bump up to Member Plus or VIP, and we will celebrate. Thank you to everybody who did that last week. More and more of you are bumping up. And then you get to come to the green room and see all that gameplay and all those games that I tell you guys to check out. A lot of the times I check them out for you, and you can see that gameplay. SDO says, why does the PS5 keep outperforming the Series X at all game time clocks and in architecture? Yeah, there's been a lot of dialogue about that recently. I didn't feel like doing another show about that, obviously, or a video about that, but like there was a clip rolling around from Digital Foundry, and they once again were surprised by PlayStation. The PS5 Pro has surprised them and exceeded their expectations, which I think that also happened with the PlayStation 5. I think a lot of people thought it was going to come down to just pure teraflops, right? Xbox Game Studios has a new leader. Rare's Craig Duncan will take over in November from the retiring Alan Hartman. Okay. I don't even know if I saw Alan Hartman get a lot of FaceTime as like the head of Xbox Game Studios, but somebody coming from Rare, that could be good. I mean, the industry and gamers have a lot of love for Rare over the years. PS5 Pro is the #1 selling console on Amazon. I mean, is that an achievement right now, as everybody's experiencing slowdown in hardware? I mean, that's obviously a repudiation of people saying that nobody would want them and they weren't in demand. But I mean, also we have to look at that in context, right? Like, Nintendo's down year over year. I mean, I know they're back up like 1.5% or something, but they're still down. They're having their slowdown. Xbox is just in a basic free fall. PlayStation's down from being like up 175%, so they're not exactly down, but still, that's not surprising. They're sort of the in-demand hardware right now in the console world. Eugene says, people keep comparing flops and CUs, and you can't do that. If you do the same thing with the new Bleach game coming out, like you did with Sparking Zero, I'll definitely fight you. If we're going to do that in the future, we need a game with crossplay, because I think it's a great incentive. I think it's a great idea. You need a game with crossplay. Sparking Zero not having crossplay just killed us. It was like I had 2 or 3 people on PC. I had somebody on Xbox. That would have been enough people. We only need about 5 people to take turns just beating the snot out of me in a game like that. And it's funny. It's like, haha, when I keep forgetting their name, Jiryu or whatever. They have like a weeb name. That was fun. I can laugh about that, right? crossplay is just immediately game-changing. So this week, we are going to do the incentive for Friday afternoon, and I will let you guys decide, okay? You can pick between Fall Guys, Fortnite, and Jackbox. I'll let the members vote on that, like, that day, that Friday. I don't like picking the game this far in advance because then people are like, well, I don't like that game. I'll let you guys pick. Maybe we could do a bunch. Like, we'll have the afternoon. We don't have to commit to just one game. So we're also trying to see if we can get just better turnout for Fridays if it's in the afternoon. I know a lot of you are like, dude, Friday night just is a no-go. Mark Cerny asking devs what tools they need to make it easier for them, paid off. Xbox has Rare chained in a basement somewhere. Yeah, I know. What are they working on? The Xbox Partner Showcase may be happening soon. A partnership showcase? So would it be? It wouldn't be like the Developer Direct. Have they done one of those before? Because I know they do their showcase every summer, and then they do the Developer Direct. Have they done an Xbox? Let me go to YouTube here. Xbox. You're calling it a partnership showcase? When's the last time they did one of those? 7 months ago, they did a partner preview. That was in March. So you think it's going to be something like that? Our second ever Xbox partner preview. So that was the second one they ever did, was 7 months ago. When was the first one they ever did? I don't remember, because I know the Developer Directs and the showcases are more, seemingly, at least in my mind, they're more common. But it sounds like they've done 2 of these. Oh, I see. They did one in October of 2023. Okay. So is that what you're basing the prediction off of? It was a 30-minute partner preview, October 25th. They did it on October the 25th. So around this time last year, yeah. OG Omar, he shoots first. Han shot first, and so did you. That is the first member to add to the goal for the week. Thank you so much for renewing your member plus. Han shot first, and so did you. Thank you, Omar. He says, just going to kick off the goal and also reiterate my love for the original Gun Fu movie, Hard Boiled. Is that that's a John Woo movie, isn't it? I believe that it is. I think my friend showed me that like a really, really long time ago. Yeah, if you look here, let me see if I can get both of these open. So, there. Let me go full screen here. Okay, so this is the Xbox Partner Preview from October. It was 30 minutes long. It had Like a Dragon. It had, it looks like some maybe, what's this one here? Ikaro Will Not Die. What is this one? Oh, I think this one looked pretty cool. Did we get? I don't know if we got a release date on this one. I don't know. I don't think we did. No, it was just an announcements trailer. So, you know, a broad spectrum of games. So you got one in October, and then here's the one that they did in March. Here's the one they did in March. So it looks like they like to do them, you know, like 30 minutes long or something like that. King Slayer with 7 months and a member plus. Thank you so much for doing those renewals. And when you guys see those member pluses and VIPs, remember, if you upgrade, that counts as a double. And if we get 5 upgrades in a day, I'll drop a 20 bomb. I'll bless 20 people for you guys upgrading. Whatever happened with the new Perfect Dark Zero game that was supposed to be coming out? They did a trailer for Perfect Dark at the Xbox Summer Showcase, and it was, as far as we can tell, it was simulated gameplay. I don't think it was like actual in-engine or raw gameplay. I'm not sure if it even said... Did it even say at the beginning of the trailer what it was? I don't know. They called it a gameplay reveal, and the trailer says at the very beginning, let's look for the text. It says in-game footage and cinematics. So if that's actual raw gameplay, then I think it looked awesome. I'm always really skeptical about that. And Belphegor kicks the week off with a 10 bomb and jumps us to 12 just that fast. Every 25, I gift 5. Thank you guys so much. And every 5 upgrades, I gift 20. That's how much we want to see those upgrades, man. We appreciate you guys that are upgrading so much. Yeah, if the Perfect Dark gameplay reveal was like actual raw gameplay, then I'm impressed. Like, I thought it looked really cool. I thought it looked excellent. I loved Perfect Dark growing up. I remember playing One of the Perfect Darks had co-op missions, did it not? I remember playing some challenge in a room, and there were always slanted walls around us, and the aliens or the enemies or whatever they were would like come in waves. I remember playing that until the wee hours of the night with my friend, and then I remember playing all of the Time Splitters co-op stuff with my siblings. So I hope they can nail it. I really do, because I thought the Perfect Dark gameplay looked quite good. It's like with the and again, to me, there were people that also said same thing I did. Is like it just looks too good to be true. Like that kind of gameplay always makes me a little suspicious. It's like it looks rendered. It looks like they went in and set the scene up, and it doesn't look like somebody's actually like sitting there controlling the character and walking around. It seems a little bit more like something that they've done fully renders on. But if that's what the game ends up looking like, dude, I will be glad to jump in and play. So it was PvP mode with bots. Yeah, they were like missions or challenges. I can't remember what they were called, but I remember playing them with my friend. I do. Guys, welcome on in. Thank you so much. We've only been streaming for 30 minutes. Gaming news today. It's all about the sequels. There's info about Halo Infinite 2. I don't think that's what they're going to call it. That's what I put in the title because we don't know what to call it. And then, Hogwarts Legacy 2, Resident Evil 9. I mean, there is a lot of just murmurings now kind of cracking and rising to the surface. That could be related to the Game Awards. The Game Awards are near, well, not near, but the cutoff is near, which means you could be looking at some of the negotiations and some of the marketing packages kind of getting ready for the Game Awards. Looking forward to Black Ops 6. I'm looking forward to the Black Ops 6 campaign because I've always thought Black Ops 1, that campaign, I think is one of the best. I loved it. I love the twist at the end. That was back in the day where, I wasn't in this world, so there was no opportunity for it to be spoiled for me. I absolutely loved it. You could get co-op in the story of Perfect Dark N64. Yeah, there was co-op, was there not? Like, I always thought that, co-op was the best. I remember when I got introduced to co-op in, I believe it was actually in Perfect Dark, and then was it Time Splitters 2? It might not have been the first Time Splitters. I think it was Time Splitters 2 when they added co-op to that game as well. You could play through the entire campaign co-op. And 20 months from Broken Surprise VIP. Happy Canadian Thanksgiving. Thank you so much. Bumps the line to 13. It says, yes, it's a weird date, but that means I get to watch it live. Yeah, it's do you guys do Canadian Thanksgiving no matter what day of the week it is? It's like a Monday. Today's a Monday. If you guys could choose, why wouldn't you always choose a Friday or something? Last week you mentioned games after 3 games should wrap up a story. How would you feel like Resident Evil has been so successful in continuing their stories? I feel like Resident Evil manages to do it because they always feel like an encased story. And they also are not scared to jump to a completely new location, completely new characters, completely new antagonists, protagonists. They're not scared to do that. They aren't. They don't seem to have a problem saying, yeah, whole new setting, whole new character cast, whole new everything. I think that's one of the ways they're able to do it. One of the challenges of a game, like when I said this about Ghost of Tsushima, it's like if they would have continued with Jin Sakai, it's like, well, after 3 games, you've kind of got to wrap it up. I also think his story had a really good conclusion and a really good sort of landing of the plane at the end of Icky Island, right? And so I think because of that, you've got the ability to kind of leave him behind and turn it into more of a franchise, and that's kind of how Resident Evil feels. It feels more like a franchise than this just episodic story that always takes the main character into the next thing. Does that make sense? Raphael gifts a member and takes the line to 14. Thank you so much, Raphael. I printed your coffee label last night, Raphael. Thank you for doing that. Is The Evil Within an offshoot of Resident Evil? No, heavily inspired by Resident Evil, though, I'm pretty sure. They have a large cast of characters they can cycle with. Right, something that Resident Evil that I think has done over the years that fans simply love is you'll be playing the latest game and suddenly somebody who hasn't been around in a long time takes the center stage. They did that in Resident Evil Village. I don't even know his name. He has a cool last name. Oh shoot. I'm not a big Resident Evil guy. My first Resident Evil ever was Resident Evil 7, and I loved it. I did not expect to enjoy it. I loved it. I played it all the way to the end. And then I think we did a second playthrough at some point more recently on this channel, probably a couple years ago. I had played the whole game on Twitch. And then Redfield. Yeah, such a cool name, Redfield. Yeah, he shows up in Village, doesn't he? Like at the very, very end. I did not like Village nearly as much. Resident Evil Village was beautiful, but I didn't like the gameplay as much as I enjoyed Resident Evil 7's gameplay. And the end with like the Call of Duty and the gun, it was like, I don't know. I know people loved Village. I prefer 7. I thought I enjoyed 7 quite a bit. It was like there was something perfect about it, and again, it could have been because it was my first Resident Evil. I remember watching my brother play the classic Resident Evil games, and I could just tell, I was like, I won't enjoy this. I don't want to play this, running up and down hallways, things of that nature. To me, it was just clear from the very beginning. I was like, that's not going to be a game for me. I could kind of tell from the very beginning. And that's fine. I think there's all kinds of games. Like back then, I was really heavy into, Quake 3 and Unreal Tournament and Call of Duty. Like I was a big PC shooter guy, and my brother was playing through the Resident Evil games. I don't even know what game was the newest one at that time. I just remember watching him play and thinking, yeah, that's not something that I would like. What was the one that I did like, though? The Resident Evil 2 remake. I think I really, really liked it. But then it did, what was it called? The B-sides or something? Where you play through the game again, kind of, with a different character, I think, and you're from a different perspective, but now all the rooms that you unlocked are unlocked, and, like, the scare factor went down, because, like, a lot of the rooms didn't change. You just went through them, and you're like, yeah, I know that guy's there, I know that guy's there. And I remember I didn't enjoy the Resident Evil 2 remake once it rolled over. I think that's what they did, right? You, like, suddenly were playing as another character or something. And I remember being like, yeah, I don't like this. I loved the first half, and I did not like, because it was like, for me, the reason I loved Resident Evil 7 so much, it was like the perfect balance between scaring me, but also setting up really cool puzzles and circumstances to navigate. It was like this really, really good blend of those things, and I felt like Village got really heavy into like combat, kind of, or something, and then the Resident Evil 2 remake I loved, and then the B-side I was like, yeah, I don't like this. B-side, you play the game as a character you don't start as. So if you pick Leon, the B-side is Claire. I think I played as Claire, and then it switched me to Leon, and I played for 15 minutes, and it just didn't feel like enjoyable. It didn't feel like an extension of the game that I wanted to experience. I was like, yeah, I'm good. You thought Resident Evil Village was garbage, Dave. It got really good review scores. People seem to really like it. I was expecting another game to be similar to Resident Evil 7, and ended up not being similar to Resident Evil 7. Other than, I think the tone and the graphics and the characters kept me going, because it really was, I think, excellent in those areas. It was just the gameplay itself. It just didn't hit the same, and I don't know why. The B scenarios in Resident Evil 2 Remake are barely different than the A scenarios. Well, and the rooms it was like I had already gotten all the rooms unlocked or something. It was like I went through a room, then it was like, yeah, that guy's on the ground. He's going to try to grab my ankle. Oh, yeah, that guy's going to spawn in that corner. It was like I kind of knew where everything was, and it kind of sucked all the fun out of the room. The B scenarios in Resident Evil 2 Remake are barely... Oh, I already read that. Sorry. Village is like a 4.83 on PlayStation. 7 was a good survivor horror game. I just don't like the aesthetic. Everything was ugly. Oh, but that's what's so good about it. My kids are taking piano lessons in that Go Tell Aunt Rosie song, I'm sorry. It's a melody from an older song, and they were playing that like doon 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 doon. They were playing that in my living room, and I was like, what the frick are you playing? Because they play that, I believe, at the end when you roll credits, and it's like, go tell Aunt Rosie. It's like this really foreboding, creepy song. And they were playing that melody in my living room, and I'm like, all of a sudden I was like I turned my head and I was like, what is going on? Why are you playing that? And apparently it's the melody to like an older song or something. I'm like tripping out. I'm like, are you guys playing video game soundtracks or something? You know, waiting for them to, you know, suddenly play like, you know, do. Like all of a sudden they start playing Mario on the key. That actually would be pretty cool if they could learn that. Is it Aunt Rhody? I thought it was Aunt Rosie. Maybe I'm misremembering. It's a long time ago. It's an old Irish tune or something like that. Oh, I wonder what the melody is. What do your kids learn? Don't fear the Reaper. Oh, man. If my kids ever get really, really good at an instrument like piano or something, I want them to learn the theme music from that biome, right? When you climb those stairs. It's freaking perfection. Housemarque deserves an award just for that sequence alone. Like, as you're climbing, the music's just swelling. It's beautiful. So many people have missed out on the excellence that is Returnal because Biome 3 just kicked their teeth in, and I don't think they ever went back. I mean, I put the game down for that reason. I couldn't. Biome 3, you know, it was skill issue. Just hashtag skill issue. I couldn't beat Biome 3. And then they decided that the fail rates were too high in Biome 3. They rebalanced it. And, the next time I played it, I made it all the way through. And I was like, this game is one of the best I've ever played. I'm confused where they're going with the series. Are the first-person games a reboot of the series? I'm not sure what you mean, Liquid. You got to elaborate. Moonlight Sonata is the only piano song needed when discussing Resident Evil. The Resident Evil 2 Remake B scenarios don't have different bosses. You quit Returnal on Biome 3. It's time to go back, baby. We have to go back, Kate. You have to go back. You have to go back. They rebalanced it. Biome 3 is fun now. It's not like this foreboding, oh my gosh. Like, the day that I decided I was done with Returnal, I have a video somewhere. Actually, I might not have it anymore. It might be on the channel where we had to nuke the content because we were resetting the channel and trying something with, I think we tried something before Helldivers. Anyway, that channel will become something one day. Anyways, I got to Biome 3. I had a great kit, and one of the astronauts, like, two-tapped me. He hit me once, and like half my health was gone, and then he hit me again, I was dead. And I was like, he's stronger than the Biome 2 boss, and he's just like a guy that can spawn in a room. I was like, this is so imbalanced. And I basically told the chat that day, I was like, I'm not doing this. Like, it doesn't feel balanced. I get really strong enough to... I smoked Biome 2's boss, and then you just have a random enemy that their damage output's that high. Well, Housemarque agreed with me. They revisited Biome 3, and those astronauts are not what they once were. And a handful of the other enemies are not what they once were. Biome 3, if you beat OG Biome 3, I mean, you're a real one. I couldn't do it. That freaking crap was ridiculous. Okay, the song's called Go Tell Aunt Rhody, by the way. What's the melody? British Academy Award for what? For music? Oh, they won for Returnal? Yes. Yeah, see, as soon as you left the States, Returnal did much better. I don't know why. You know, as soon as you weren't in America. Guys, take a quick second and smash that like button for me. Nice strong start to Monday morning. Almost 600 people here. Let's get 200 likes. Make sure you're renewing your memberships as well as dropping those gifteds. If you upgrade your membership, let me know. Every 5 upgrades, and I'm dropping 20 bombs on chat. We've got to hit that next milestone. We want to see 600 people with Member Plus and above, and then I'll hang out with you guys, do an IRL stream. When we get to 1,000 people at Member Plus and above, I have to do a PC building stream, so let's get it. Talking about those rogues makes me sad at the state of Risk of Rain 2 on console right now. It's still so bad. Risk of Rain 2 makes me want a Risk of Rain 3 where they do a much better job with meta progression. My wife and I enjoyed Risk of Rain 2 for a couple of nights, and then it's just like, it's just the same thing over and over. Like, it's like I need meta progression in a Rogue. I really do. I'll make a comparison. There are mobile games to pass the time, and then there are mobile pieces of trash. And the mobile games that always drove me crazy were the ones where try to run as far as you can. You made it 150 yards. And then what do you do the next time? You just try to get further than 150 yards. That's just not compelling to my brain. So that's where like a Risk of Rain 2 lands for me. It's like, cool. We got farther. We killed more stuff. We had really fun builds, but you're going to die. You're going to die. And then you start over, and it's the same thing over and over again, right? Stop complaining. Are you talking to me, or are you talking to somebody in chat? UK retailer Argos is unable to fulfill every PS5 30th anniversary pre-order. How in the world does something like that happen? So they can't fulfill any of the orders they took? That doesn't make any sense. You beat the whole Returnal game before any changes? I mean, my hat's off to you and anybody who beat that game's vanilla state, because Biome 3 was brutal. Resident Evil 7 in PSVR 1 was an amazing experience. Really wish Capcom would port it to PSVR 2. Oh, man. I would love that. I loved Resident Evil 7. You know? Welcome to the family, son. Like, it was so good. This was supposed to be a feast. Marguerite. There is, it's so disturbing and yet captivating. Celsius, that's only 111 in Fahrenheit. That can't be too hot. I don't know what happened. Both of my screens, both of my monitors went black, and then I couldn't see anything. I couldn't see anything, and then my monitors came back on, and OBS said NVENC error. I'm like, I don't know what in the world happened. It said it pulled an NVENC error, so maybe the video card, I might need to update drivers or something. I haven't had any issues with this rig. I haven't had any issues with this rig in ages. Like, it's been running pretty flawlessly. And all I do with it is stream. I don't do anything else with it. Other than, like, open up a Google Doc and type up my monologues or whatever. Yeah, we're probably going to lose a ton of people on that when there's a blip like that. So y'all are going to need to help out here. Smash a like button. I don't know, gift members. It doesn't look like the card's running hot. I'm checking Task Manager. It's just stable at 44 degrees Celsius, so I don't think my card overheated or anything. It's not doing anything. The show's just getting too hot. Yeah, for real. For real. So, I don't know. I have no idea. That's the worst we've had in a while. Well, it's because I just completely disconnected. It just shut me down. It just stopped the stream. So basically, you guys are just going to get a loop of like the last couple of seconds when that happens. And then YouTube doesn't know what to do. It's like we're not getting a signal all of a sudden. So, I don't know if it's getting warm. Let me ask my wife to bump the air. Can you bump the air? Because it feels a little warm in here, so maybe that's what it was. I don't know. You were quoting RE72, worst time to happen. What you mean by... I've had my monitors do that every once in a while. Like, one of them will just flip off and come back on, and I don't know what that is. It'll do it, and then I'll go months and it won't happen. Just one of them. Like, not both. So, I have no idea. Not the greatest time for it to happen. We've not even been alive for an hour, and that just, like, absolutely killed us. So, anything else? We were talking about Resident Evil 7. Yes, we were talking about Resident Evil 7. I was quoting Resident Evil 7 when it happened. So, yeah, Metacritic put up a page for Resident Evil 9. So everybody was like, oh, there's an announcement coming soon. And so I guess, oh, it's 68 up there? Okay, hang on a second. Okay. Okay, never mind. Just my office is getting warm. YouTube loves being YouTube. I mean, I don't have any control over YouTube. I don't else, I don't have any control over my PC doing that either. Hit like, get some member renewals in here. Yeah. We got to get our momentum back. That absolutely killed us. YouTube is just it's devastating when you lose viewers for the smallest blip. It's devastating. They just won't. They'll basically treat your video like it's dead. It should take more than that. I think one little dip should not be enough to punish the video so severely. But that's what happens. That's why I don't run ads during a stream. Like, we tried it once, and it was like viewership just went like this and never recovered. I ran one ad, and it did that. We've never done it since. So, yeah, it wasn't even OBS. It was an NVENC error, like something with my video card. I don't know if the video card cycled, or I don't even know what cycling would be. I'm just making up terms now. But like the video card might have done something. What were we talking about before it happened? Blip, super blip, blip. Well, Sneaky Wolf gifts a member. Let's get this stream back on track, he says. And that puts us as a 10 bomb away from 25. And then puts us to 16. Behemoth says, thanks to the great content, a VIP plus renewal, 43 months. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Resident Evil 9 for VR 2. I mean, the thing with the VR implementation, to me, that's always going to be, difficult is, does the developer care? You know what I mean? I think you're always going to run into that issue. Because do they want to do the extra work, and why? Do you know what I'm saying? I think that's going to be one of PSVR 2's biggest dilemmas is, imagine that you're Capcom and you're working on Resident Evil 9 right now. What's going to motivate you to say, well, let's do all the extra work for PSVR 2? PSVR 2 saturation's not spectacular. And David N says, I'll do it. An Agent of Chaos 10 bomb and bumps the line to 26. I owe you guys 5 members. Let's bounce this stream back, man. Little glitches like that are so punishing, but we can certainly try to course correct. Thank you so much, David N, for gifting some members. And I'm just going to go ahead and do... Wait, that's the wrong one. I clicked a 10 bomb. I owe a 5 bomb. I'm getting a little ahead of myself here. Let me do a 5 bomb that I owe you guys right now. Thank you so much, David N. Seeing somebody with a white badge, a brand new badge, gifting a 10 bomb. That is just incredible. Thank you guys so much. And again, we have another incentive going on. If you guys upgrade your memberships, please tell me. Please tell me. Every 5 upgrades, I'm dropping a 20 bomb. We're going to reward the community anytime you guys decide to bump up to Member Plus, if enough of you do it. Like I said, every 5. Every 5. Elsewhere Broadcast says, I hope Jill is the protagonist in RE9. She deserves more attention, especially with her new looks. What do you mean her new looks? Like, did they change her outfit or hair? What do they do? Sony pays Capcom for its RE implementation. To this day, Capcom hasn't done VR for RE7, RE8, or RE4 or any other platform. Right, like, how much more money are you going to get? And Belphegor, I'm sorry, Behemoth, your guys' names with the B-E, I'm sorry. And Behemoth with the 5 bomb. Belphegor is like, you going to give me credit? Bumps the line to 31. Thank you so much, Behemoth. We'll see if there's any big boys that want to do a 20 bomb Agents of Chaos all the way to 50. We will see. Sitting on that 31. Might be tempting. Thank you so much, Behemoth. If you guys got a gifted member, say thank you to the people that have gifted. What happened to Claire Redfield? I don't know. Thanks for the membership renewal. Thank you for being here, man. If you get a gifted member, it means you watch and support enough to get one, and we greatly appreciate that. I have the girl from DLC with powers as the new protagonist. I don't know. Soon it's going to be like that movie, Ready Player One. Oh, they're just going to keep adding and adding and adding? Yeah, maybe. You know? Yo, good morning, Jose Fernando. How are you? Always confuse those two for a second as well. Claire's in some spin-off games. That's the thing. I don't know or have any of the names or characters straight in my mind. All I know is I played Resident Evil 7, and I had an absolute blast with it. I had an absolute blast with it. I like, it was my first Resident Evil ever, and it was so much fun. The audience loved it at the time. They loved seeing me get jump scared. It was really, really fun. You know, and 8 was just such a departure. My membership expired today, and I got gifted again today. I watch your channel a lot. Well, thank you, Wicked. I appreciate that very, very much. Thank you. Behemoth says blip. Gosh, I hope not. It's not me. OBS is fine. It's like always something. I upgraded my membership. I did it like 3 years ago, but I think it should count retroactively. Good to see you, Vengeance. Thanks so much for being here, dude. Yeah, it was my first Resident Evil ever. Yeah. My brother loved the Resident Evil games. I just never got into them. They weren't for me. I was such a COD head, you know. I was such a Call of Duty guy because I went from basically my trajectory as a gamer was like Nintendo, GoldenEye, Perfect Dark, Time Splitters, and like that propelled me into shooters on PC. So Quake 2, Quake 3, Doom. Well, you know, obviously Wolfenstein 3D we had, but that didn't feel quite like the shooters of the more modern era. And then Unreal Tournament, and then I come back to console with the 360. I get Gears of War. I get Call of Duty World at War. I get Call of Duty 4, the modern one, the first Modern Warfare, and that's always been my trajectory as a gamer. So Resident Evil just never appealed to me. It was like, yeah, I don't want to play that game. Like that just, my taste as a gamer has changed so much over the years. I mean, funny enough, just this morning, someone was like, hey, what do you think about, you know, New World over there on, what do you think about New World over there on console? And I was like, yeah, I played it. I just don't care anymore. Like when I played it 3 years ago, it was like my first MMO really ever. My friends tried to get me into EverQuest. It didn't work. It just drove me back to Diablo. I've never really been big into MMOs. And when New World came out 3 years ago, I remember I played it quite a bit. I played it quite a bit with the community, streamed it quite a bit. And then I played it recently and I was like, yeah, I just don't want to do this. There's something about the moment-to-moment action-oriented combat in New World is quite good for an MMO. I also said this morning, I think it's one of the better looking. It's one of the better looking MMOs out there. It's not the best looking. I think when it originally came out, I would say it was probably the best looking of the mainline MMOs you could play. But more and more MMOs are coming out that I think look pretty good. And it's one of the better looking MMOs, and the action-oriented combat I think is good, but I just don't care. I don't know. My palette has changed. I'm looking for rogues and you know, more piecemeal gaming or more linear games. Truth be told, you know, like I enjoyed Stellar Blade more than Rise of the Ronin. You know, I would love for Final Fantasy 16 to fix its performance mode so I could go back and finish it. I loved how linear that was. I don't know. I think I've just been more malleable in my preferences as a gamer lately, like not so rigid. And I think it all started with Returnal. You know, it was like realizing, oh, wow, there can be really great experiences in a genre or a game type that I haven't enjoyed traditionally, which is why I'm leaving room for turn-based. I know what Expedition 33 or whatever it's called, I know that game might win me over with turn-based because it's going to be a little bit more involved. It's going to be a little bit more like action-oriented. timing parries and attacks and different things. You know, so I'm open to, you know, changing my, you know, the games that I play and the preferences that I have. You know, that's why I like ESO. The combat's more action focused than traditional MMOs. I tried Throne and Liberty, but it feels too turn based. Do we think Unreal Halo will even try to retain Bungie's gunplay? Concord sort of did, even though it was way too slow for me, but they did succeed in duplicating it a bit. Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question about Halo, because I think ultimately they're going to have to decide, what do we want to do with Halo? You know? Like, what do we want to do with Halo? Like, do they want to, from the ground up, reconsider everything? Movement, gunplay, enemies, all of those things are going to be, I think, on the table for, do we want to fully evolve this? Do we want this to feel the same? Do we want this to feel different? Like, they're going to have to, I think, come to those, you know, decisions. Do you think preferences change because of the time constraints since you run a channel now? It's probably a bit of both, James. I think that's a good question. It's probably a bit of both, because I'm also at a point in life where, no, I think you've gotten to the core issue, because for 5 years, maybe not 5, for about 2 or 3 years, when I was mainly a Destiny streamer on Twitch, I could stream Destiny. There was a time where I would stream Destiny for 4, maybe 5 hours, and then I could take another 2 to 3 hours and just play a game, right? And I could just play a game. And that would mean 2 to 3 hours a day. I could take chunks out of a brand new game. So by the end of the week, I could have put in 15, sometimes more, because sometimes I would be really digging a game and I would jump into it earlier. I was finishing games after like a week, sometimes a week and a half, 2 weeks. Well, when we pivoted to YouTube and then we pivoted away from Destiny, it's like, I don't have time to do that now. Now, I've been doing that a little bit with you guys in the afternoon. That's a great reason for you to upgrade to Member Plus or upgrade to VIP, and you get to come to the green room and like you'll get to see me try out random games, and it's been really enjoyable. We had a really good time with Realm of Ink. We had a really, really good time with Nimrods. We had a good time with Deep Rock Galactic Survivor and Death Must Die. I also showed you guys Kill Knight the one day, and Witchfire. You know, we've had a really, really good time just like showcasing lesser known games that might be completely off your radar. But even still, that's really contained. It's like, hey, I don't have to do an upload, or I don't have to do this, you know, whatever the case may be. And I'm not at that stage of life anymore. And now, if I'm going to play a game like on my own time, like when I played through Stellar Blade, Ronin, Helldivers 2, Prince of Persia, Last of Us Part 2 Remake. Those are some games that I played to completion this year. I had to play those in my living room, you know, an hour a night. Just super slow, just taking a chunk out of the game, you know, which is one of the reasons I do think I have gravitated towards more like the Rogue and the Linears. And a Member Plus renewal from Spice King. Thank you so much. That's 32, but then it's going to jump to 33 because I think that's supposed to be Satire Gaming. Satire Gaming, a brand new membership. Thank you so much. If you like your access to some of the members-only content, you can always upgrade to Member Plus later, and you'll get into more. The $5 tier is basically the gifted tier. It gets you into about, I'd say, 80% of the members' content, and then there's content above that. So if you enjoy that membership at the standard tier, you can upgrade. All upgrades count as 2 in the goal. And also, if 5 people upgrade in a given day, I'll drop a 20 bomb. So if you guys upgrade and you can't celebrate it in chat, tell me. I'll check the back end. Thank you guys for jumping in new or jumping back in as a renew. Speaking of the Green Room, Precinct demo came out today on Steam. GTA Open World. You play as a cop. I don't know if that's really my jam. Dead Space Remake is perfect for smaller gaming sessions. Yeah, it didn't really draw me in, Scotty B. It didn't. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. We've recovered from whatever the heck my video card did. Make sure you guys are smashing the like button. Try to get us to 300 likes. Thanks for being here. Gaming News Today is a segment that's for you. You can ask me questions, bring up topics, trailers, news items, anything going on in gaming news. I'll give you a bit of a recap. We walked through Hogwarts Legacy DLC, as well as how this connects to Hogwarts Legacy 2. Then we looked at Resident Evil 9. There was this placeholder put on Metacritic. Everybody's saying, hey, this has happened before. This is pretty much pointing to them doing a announcement soon. And then we looked at the Halo Infinite 2, which I don't think they're going to call it Halo Infinite 2. The next mainline Halo, according to Special Nick on Xbox Era, he said a little birdie may have told him that that game is a lot closer than some of us have expected. But Satire Gaming isn't just jumping in with a membership. They're gifting 5 as well, and they jumped the line to 38. Every 25, I give 5. Thank you for doing that, Satire Gaming. Why can't we see Lono in a 4K 60 stream? I mean, I don't have a rig. You need a rig for that. You need better bandwidth for that. Yeah, streaming at 4K 60 is ridiculous. Yeah. Had a laugh with the whole Saudi Xbox stuff. I didn't want to retread that, but I put a clip. What? Matt Booty fired? No. Are people memeing on Twitter? There's no way. I put a clip on Twitter where I basically said, like, this is the same thing that happened the last time. It's like, oh no, bad news is coming, and they seemingly go with like this non-answer PR nonsense, and it's like it doesn't actually say anything. And again, it seemed to even confirm that it would be, yeah, I don't think Matt Booty's fired. Matt Booty got the boot. Craig Duncan from Rare is head of Game Studios. Matt Booty stated Xbox Game Studios has released several critically acclaimed titles. No. He's not replacing Booty. There's a guy named Alan Hartman that's retiring. I always catch your VODs. Love the content. This is my first time watching live due to my work schedule. Keep up the good job. Yo, Satire, that is so kind, man. Thank you so much for saying that. Thank you for the support. Watching VODs is as good as being here live, honestly. A view is a view, you know? A view is a view. So thank you for supporting the channel in that way. Yeah, Booty did not get fired, guys. Back to the Saudi Arabia thing, okay? As far as we can tell, the Xbox leaving certain regions thing, like, that's happening. That's happening. And the PR from Xbox basically confirmed it. And we saw one of the people that tried to draw attention to this got called like a grifter and then had to be apologized to. Like, and I had somebody DM me from Saudi Arabia and basically was like, thank you for your coverage of this. This is indeed happening. So it'll be really interesting if this is going to run the exact same course of first-party games aren't going to PlayStation, and then they are. Oh, but it's not going to be Starfield and Indiana Jones, and then it is Indiana Jones. I'm sure Starfield's in the distant future. And then now you've got pulling out of Saudi Arabia. No, we're not. Oh, I bet you they are. Someone new was put into his old position. Oh, okay. Or they just roll this Alan Hartman guy into Booty's position when Booty got reassigned? We're getting to say Booty a lot. Guys, make sure if you're enjoying the show as well, you've never been here, man, hit subscribe. So that way you can talk in the chat. I saw a clip of you talking about it, literally a repeat of the first party fiasco all over again. Yeah, I put the clip on Twitter. Sometimes I go back to certain segments of the show where we get into like a really heated debate and I'm basically looking for a clip. Like, oh, is there anything worth putting on Twitter? I stopped doing that for a while because it just ends up leading to people going crazy. But now I'll just do it and then mute the tweet so I don't have to listen to anybody yell at me. So, yeah, I was like, this is the exact same pattern. Like, it's the exact same non-answer that we've gotten before. Isn't the 3 new Xbox like Digital Series X, say it isn't going to be available in Saudi, Singapore, Brazil, etc. That would be telling if it's true. And Durs with the Member Plus says, loving the new format. Looking forward to Friday night. Spooky games this month. Oh, that's what we should do. That's what we should do as an incentive this Friday. That takes us to 39. Let's do that. Let's pick a spooky game for Friday. I'll do it Friday afternoon, and if you guys hit the stretch goal, I'll also do a Friday night. You know, I'll let you unlock both. But the Friday afternoon thing that we're trying is because I want more people to be able to enjoy the content. Friday night seems to be a tough time for people to tune in. A lot of you are still around by the time Friday afternoon hits. So instead of community game night, we could do spooky games the rest of the month. You guys could make Madam and I play spooky games on Friday night, and then I could play a spooky game on Friday afternoon. A Korean outlet reported that Xbox is diverting resources to creating cloud chips of streaming, which is causing shortages in the smaller markets. What's interesting about that, James, is they've been diverting resources to cloud for a long time. We ended up reporting on that last year. Windows Central, Jez Corden, was one of the first people I saw anybody talking about that. I've always given him props for that. He was one of the first people saying, before we learned from the FTC trial that Xbox was like voluntarily constraining production of consoles for cloud, that was confirmed at the FTC. But before that, he was the first person I saw reporting on that. And so we reported on that. We relayed him. We quoted him, said, hey, he's saying this is going on. And then it was confirmed in the FTC trial. So that's been going on for a while. Maybe it's just now making landfall in the smaller markets. And they're just like, yeah, we're not going to be getting consoles going forward. After accusing him of lying and being a fraud, yeah, Jez apologized to the Saudi Arabian game blogger. Yeah, Omar. His name was Omar Alamoudi, I think. Is that how you say it? It turns out that Microsoft has indeed stopped restocking consoles in the region. I mean, that's breakneck speed. Like, I told you guys that Friday, I said, this is a non-answer. It's not an answer. It's like, oh, their Xbox is still available, but you know, if it varies, you can always play Xbox games on cloud. It's like, what? It was so clear to me. It was like, oh no, yeah, they're totally getting ready to do this, and they don't want anybody to know it, so they're going to give some canned PR answer, and then you have an outlet. And that's why I said in the clip on Twitter, I said, it's the same outlet that interviewed Phil Spencer about hey, are you bringing first-party games to other platforms? And then you don't ask him about it. You just ask him about Game Pass. It's the same thing. It's just another looky-loo. It's just another, you know, not even sleight of hand. It's just, yeah, we're not going to answer the question. We're going to indirectly answer the question. We're going to let the public fill in the blanks. We're going to let the public run with their own thing. It's just like the Black Myth Wukong secret exclusivity deal. Microsoft gets asked the question, they answer in a way that lets the public run wild with their own conspiracy theories, and here we are today. Was there ever any confirmation about this alleged secret exclusivity deal with Black Myth Wukong? No, there wasn't. Other insiders basically debunked it and said, no, that's not what happened. PlayStation helped with development, but there's no exclusivity deal. There's no marketing deal. There's nothing. The optimization problems are real. Like, play the game on PlayStation 5. It's pretty apparent that they're having issues with optimization because it's not all that well optimized. It's no different. It's the same thing. It's like Microsoft and Phil Spencer are the kings at saying just enough. It's like they give you a nudge in a direction and then they just kind of back off. They're like, listen, if you go down that road and you start thinking and saying all these things, we didn't say it. You know, Microsoft didn't say there was a secret exclusivity deal. We didn't say that. Hey. We didn't say we were going to continue stalking Saudi Arabia. We didn't say that. Y'all said that. Y'all came to your own conclusions. Like, that's been their format for a long time. What's interesting is it's like they know they can do it. I think that's the most interesting part of the development of how the last couple of years have gone is as I analyze it and as I watch, it's like, hey, wait a minute. They seemingly know they can do this, and that there are outlets and people and podcasts that will run the spin for them. He still thinks Wukong was money-hatted. I saw him say as much a few days ago. Where's the evidence of it, though? Wouldn't there by now be some sort of evidence? Wouldn't somebody speak out? Why did other insiders say, no, it's not true? It sounds to me like wires got crossed. There are sources who thought there was an exclusivity deal. Upon further investigation, it was, no, there's no exclusivity deal. PlayStation was just helping them with development. And you can see why. It's one of the worst exclusivity deals ever. It doesn't even run that well on PlayStation. Wukong, there's no evidence that Wukong was money-hatted. There's none. It stands contrary to all reason that they would have done that and taken a secret exclusivity deal with no marketing rights and a version of the game that doesn't even run that well on the PlayStation. Like, now maybe they wanted, the power of Black Myth Wukong because they knew how well it was going to do in the Chinese market and they want to break in there. 131,000 ratings, and that has a 4.45. It's just shy of a 90% over there. So the PlayStation audience loved it. I saw a video this morning that quite literally explained why FrameGen creates latency and dropped inputs. I watched a video on it. I was like, oh, that's why it happens. Like, at a technical level, they were breaking it down. Guys, take a quick second and smash the like button. Let's get to 300 likes. If you are new here, this is a safe for work broadcast. A lot of people treat me like a podcast. It's called Gaming News Today. Now, that's not all we do. I do uploads. I do gameplay. Sometimes I have a guest on. So make sure and hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell button so you don't miss out on the content. That way I'm in your feeds all week long. And appreciate you being here. A great way to support the channel is just to hit sub, hit like, and listen and lurk every day. And if you want to go above and beyond, pick Member Plus. Subscribe to the channel as a member. Join as a member and pick Member Plus or upgrade your existing to that. Every time a game is exclusive to PlayStation, Sony goes out and screams it from the mountaintops. That's what I'm saying. I still don't get why people think that that's a thing. I see zero evidence for it. Like, when you see evidence to the contrary, you should change what you think. I thought Kill the Justice League was going to be good. Then I played it, had fun, got to the end game, got to the live service aspect, and was like, I was wrong. Yeah, I was wrong about this. I saw evidence to the contrary of my position. So I said, I was wrong. It's not good. I said Concord was a risk. I said Concord was going to flop. It did. I said the same thing about Marathon and Fair Games. If Marathon and Fair Games comes out and they're crazy successful and there's evidence to the contrary of my position, I will say, oh, I was wrong. The Verge is reporting Call of Duty Black Ops 6 will be playable on Xbox Cloud Gaming at launch on October 25th. I'm confused. What happened to Ubisoft? I believe Ubisoft is managing the cloud gaming solutions in the European market only. I don't think they're doing it globally. Why are Xbox fans celebrating streaming games they own on xCloud as if it's a literal Series S? I don't think a lot of people know that, FCAT. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people know that when you do xCloud streaming, you're on a Series S profile. So, yeah. For a long time, I thought they would turn the Series S into a streaming box. They would just turn it into a cloud box due to the performance issues and, developers skipping their platform. But it seems like that's not a viable alternative because you'd just be going from a Series S to a Series S. You would need the Series S to get a Series X profile, which would then make some of their capacity problems even worse, right? They have a capacity problem. This is something even some of the pro Xbox guys have been critical about. Like, their xCloud is behind. It doesn't have features that they promised. They're coming soon, I guess. Capacity's an issue. And then it is also an issue. If you're trying to get around the Series S bottleneck, you don't really get around it because xCloud is giving you a Series S profile. By the way, if you guys are a member, you can start submitting questions now. I cleared the question queue. That's something available to members only. If you want to be a part of that, become one, or stick around and hope for a gifted. And then I have the question pop up on the screen. Money hiding and keeping quiet about it sounds like Microsoft behavior, if you ask me, especially in light of their current trajectory. They're multi-platform now, so regardless, games are everywhere. Right, so here's the thing. Which, if you were to look at the platforms the last 24 months and say, which platform says something and it doesn't accurately represent what's going on in the background? Which company's been doing that? Which? It ain't PlayStation. Like, if we're going to talk about, like, oh, there's a secret money hat, there's a secret exclusivity deal. It's like, hang on, let's just pump the brakes here. Imagine that we're playing a whodunit, you know? And we're all locked in a room. And we're trying to figure out who's guilty. Who's consistently said one thing while something else was going on in the background? Who's consistently put out promises and assurances and cast a vision for their platform while in the background you've got frosted glass and games being brought to the competitor? So you think about a secret exclusivity deal. I don't even think you can trust what the green side says anymore. Were you going to trust Phil Spencer? DJ Rage, you have to put the exclamation point in front of question, not after it. You got to do it like Trill Troll did. James Pitt says that Maddie Plays and co-hosts continue to defend the idea that Black Myth was secretly exclusive on Defining Dukes. I'm surprised. If that's true, that's surprising to me. That doesn't seem like something that they would buy into. I could see them talking about it when it was initially reported, but in light of all the new information that has come out, that's surprising that they would continue to say that. You had other insiders, other people with sources say, yeah, no, there is no secret exclusivity deal. PlayStation just helped with development. Like, we have a far more plausible and tangible explanation for why people thought there was an exclusivity deal, right? I have zero doubt in my mind that Jez Corden was told that. I think that he was told that. I think the person that said it has gotten their wires crossed. I think they gave him inaccurate information, right? So if we ask the question, why would somebody say that to him? Why would somebody be incorrect about this information? Well, the new context and the new information from other insiders makes sense of why he was told that. He was told that because somebody said, hey, I heard PlayStation and that studio are working together. There's a deal. There's something going on for Black Myth. And these other insiders come in and say, yeah, they were working together. They were helping them get the game ready. They were helping develop the game for PlayStation. Do you see? Like, that recontextualizes why somebody was told, oh, there's a secret exclusivity deal with Black Myth Wukong. That's completely logical. That's completely fair. I don't think somebody just ran out and said, oh, I have sources, and they just made it up. You know, my sources, I made it up. I don't think that's what happened. The most plausible explanation, if I'm thinking like, imagine we're like a detective and we're trying to figure out which is true and which is false. It just makes perfectly good sense that you had a source tell you information that was based on reality, but it was a false conclusion. Yes, they were working together. No, there is no secret exclusivity deal. It's more likely that a company the size of PlayStation would not enter into a secret exclusivity deal. It's far more likely that they were working together and the telephone game of the leakers and the sources and the insiders, that telephone game spit out something that's not true. You know, Whisper Down the Valley or the game of telephone or whatever you want to call it. That came through all those, you know, all those various twists and turns, and it metamorphosized, or it evolved, it morphed into secret exclusivity deal. And it's like, what? I remember when I heard that, I was like, that doesn't even make any sense. Because it doesn't. And so when we get a more plausible explanation, to me, just being logical about it, it's more believable that this is what happened. There's other context to this discussion as well. Is there not? Is there not? Baldur's Gate 3 runs into development issues with split screen. Other developers have expressed issue with the Series S, both before and after its launch date. There are other developers coming late to Xbox. It's not just Black Myth Wukong. This didn't happen in a vacuum. Do you see? It's like, so let me get this straight. In light of the facts, we have games coming late, devs expressing that there's an issue with the Series S. We see visible, tangible evidence that there's issues with the Series S when tech breakdowns come out. And another studio comes out and says, we're going to have to do some optimization before we come to Xbox. Everybody knows that it's the Series S. And the explanation this time is secret exclusivity deal. And in light of that theory being thrown out, other insiders who have proven to have reliable sources in the industry have come in and said, there is no exclusivity deal. It was my understanding PlayStation was working with the developers to get the game optimized on PlayStation. Because clearly, again, to add context, to add believability to those claims, Black Myth Wukong has performance issues on the PlayStation. See how reasonable that is? It's like there's so much evidence to support it. If you are going to claim and going to believe and going to promote the theory that Black Myth Wukong is in a secret exclusivity deal with PlayStation, there is counter evidence to your belief. Contrary evidence to your belief. There are a pattern of games struggling to come to the platform due to the Series S. That's contrary evidence to you believing this theory. There are other insiders claiming there is no exclusivity deal. It was a deal between the two to work on the game to get it ready for PlayStation. That's other contrary evidence to your claim. So to me, I believe the claim and the theory has been demolished, and continuing to believe it and continuing to hold to it and promote it, you're free to do that. You know, you're also free to believe that the moon is made out of cheese. You're also free to believe that the earth is flat. And you'd be wrong because of the overwhelming amount of contrary evidence. So I don't really have the patience to indulge conspiracy theories or tinfoil hat theories about what's going on when we have contrary evidence. If there's no contrary evidence, I think theorizing is fun. I think trying to make predictions is fun. What do we think is going to happen here? What do we think is going to happen there? That's all perfectly fine and well and good. But when we have a significant amount of evidence to draw on and to lead us to a conclusion, then I don't think it's worth getting into a big debate about. It's worth just saying, yeah, I think that theory is defunct and has been demolished. I don't think it's a theory, worthy of headlines or worthy of actual consideration. I don't think so. The first trailer for a Tron game has released. All right, let's take a look at this. Guys, take a quick second and smash the like button. Double check to see if you have renewals to celebrate as well. It's a Disney game, huh? Wait, Devolver's involved? That's pretty big for Devolver to be involved with a Disney game. What are you going to do in the game? Hopefully it's not just light bikes, because this could be really good third-person action-adventure combat. Okay. I'm with it. I like the top-down. I think the top-down works. Probably no opportunity for co-op here, given some of the level design that we've already seen. Seems a bit tight for co-op. I would love it to have co-op. Some of the iframes, some of the slowdown, and some of the animations kind of reminds me of Fury, if you guys have ever played that game. It's reminiscent. Reminiscent here. So there might be some light bike. Light bike in this perspective would actually be kind of cool, like the top-down perspective. Not this perspective here. Got one. I wonder if they would do light bike from the top down, though. 2025, all consoles. There you go. Yeah, that looks fun. That looks fun. I like games that like that a little bit more. You know, I like games like that a teeny bit more, but. All right, let's start pulling up some questions. This is something you guys can take advantage of as a member, and we'll probably stream for another 45 minutes or so you guys have an opportunity to get on pace. We need about 100 members a day. That's not just brand new, by the way. Your renewals count, your upgrades count, so make sure and do all those things. Keep us on pace for Friday, and this week you have the opportunity to get 2 extra streams, Friday afternoon and Friday evening. And let's check the first question from Trill Troll. Says, going off the brief discussion about soundtracks in games, which games this year do you think are going to get nominated for best soundtrack? The problem is I've not played some of the games that are likely to get the nominations. I'm pretty sure usually Final Fantasy VII usually has like a killer soundtrack. Like the Final Fantasy games, I mean, usually have killer soundtracks. I know FF16 did. I don't remember Ronin or Stellar Blade soundtrack being all that spectacular. Astrobot's soundtrack could get up there. It was actually pretty good. I don't know about Metaphor, again, because I haven't played it. I feel like a lot of times the JRPG soundtracks go pretty hard. Yeah, Wukong's. I saw people saying that Wukong soundtrack was quite good. Yeah. One of my favorite soundtracks of all time is Ori and the Will of the Wisps. I thought that was an exceptionally done soundtrack, and that composer has done some more recent work as well. Oh, Silent Hill 2 soundtrack, maybe? Somebody in chat saying? That's probably a pretty wide open category, to be honest. Yeah. Barking Zero soundtrack? Yeah. I think that's a pretty wide open category. I think there's usually Stellar Blade's original soundtrack. I mean, they had a lot of really cool original songs. And Satire Gamer upgrades to Member Plus. I'm counting that as 2. That goes to 41. If 4 more people upgrade to Member Plus or to VIP, I'm dropping a 20 bomb. So keep those upgrades going. We have a brand new incentive on the channel. If 5 people upgrade in a given day, I drop a 20 bomb. So double check your membership. Try to get that upgrade in there. Get into Member Plus. And if you do it and can't celebrate it, let me know. I can always confirm on the back end. And then if we get enough people to do it, like I said, I'll drop a 20 bomb. I'll bless some people in the chat. The art style of Tron is still to this day absolutely amazing. It is really good. Stellar Blade and FF7 Rebirth have great soundtracks. I feel like I forgot that Stellar Blades did have some really, really good like original tracks with actual vocals. So, yeah, Stellar Blade could probably be in the running as well. Yeah. Helldivers 2. You know what I'm saying? Dude? A lot of us heard that intro so many times. Maybe we forgot that it's actually pretty good. It's actually pretty good. It goes pretty hard. Hang on, I gotta send a coach note. Hang on. Great coach note. They just sent an email, like the tournament details for our kids' soccer. They sent an email saying that there'd be no practice. And I'm like, no, we're practicing. Like, there's no official practices, like, in the app. But, like, no, we are practicing. Like, we're not about to take the whole week off and go in cold on Saturday. Because we're in, like, first or second place, so we get a bye. My boys' team. I'm like, what the, huh? They sent this email like, yeah, there's no practice. Like, I told my team there is practice. Because it's no good to get a bye and sit cold all week and then come into Saturday being like, yeah, we haven't touched a soccer ball in 7 days. Like, give me a break. Nuh-uh. Thought he froze again. Sorry. I saw that email and I was like, I was like, I'm getting in front of that. You are not about to tell my boys there's no practice tonight. We're talking about practice? Yes, we're talking about practice. I was like, don't you dare. We did the same thing last year. It's like, we got to buy. It's like, well, we're going to show up and practice then. They make us practice on the smaller fields anyway. They don't do games on those fields. So it's like, we're not even going to be in anybody's way. That's stupid. Well, you better believe all the other teams that got buys are going to be practicing. Are you kidding me? Bye weeks hurt most pro teams in sports. Yeah, you get cold, baby. I don't need their feet to be cold. Got to keep them legs fresh. What are we doing? Get out on the pitch, you know? All right, let's take another question from the members here. TJ Rage, do you think the next Elder Scrolls should release for the next gen? I mean, the timing is, I don't honestly know. I feel like the next Elder Scrolls is going to land before the next gen, so it'll be a Series X PS5 level console game. Like, that'll be... Now, obviously, they might go harder on PC. I mean, I don't know. That dadgum engine, I think the issue is always going to be the engine with them. You know, it's going to be difficult to, in my estimation, it's going to be difficult to make it look better than Starfield. Like, I know on PC you can install mods and you can go to like really specific locations and make it look really, really good. But man, that creation engine, I don't think it's ever excelled at presentation. It excels at all of the things that makes a Bethesda game, which is object permanence, customization, you know, exhaustive NPC dialogue systems, creative freedom from your modders. I don't think it's ever excelled at presentation, which is weird because the modders come in and then they do that. So maybe I'm saying this wrong. Maybe it's not the engine. Maybe it's Bethesda's hubris in thinking that, well, the engine lets us do this, and you can put 1,000 potatoes in your spaceship, so we don't need to focus on presentation. I might actually have this a bit backwards. It never excelled at presentation. It excels at interactivity. Well, as soon as I started making my argument infinite, I started having an internal argument in my brain. I'm like, well, wait a minute. The modders have made Skyrim look gorgeous. The modders have made the NPCs and the environments and the settings look better in Starfield. So is it the engine or is it Bethesda's lack of priority on presentation? Like, do they just think, hey, we let you put 1,000 sandwiches in your spaceship. Why? We don't need to do anything with the presentation. We don't need to make it look pretty. Like, the modders clearly can figure out how to do it. Have you seen some of the mods for Starfield? You got to think about the time it takes to develop the entire game as well. They have a finite time and budget. Modders do it for free in a short amount of time. What are we even talking about? There are modders who make Bethesda games look night and day different in, like, what, less than a month for free. They just do it for the fun of it. I don't know. Maybe we've been blaming the wrong thing this entire time. Maybe it's not the engine. Maybe it's, like I've said before, I listen to Todd Howard talk and do interviews, and I'm like, man, I like you. You seem really nice. And I feel like you've been such a visionary for video games. Like, he's one of the names that'll go down in history in gaming as, like, hugely impacting where it ends up. But I do also feel like he's kind of like a dinosaur. You know, like the T-Rex influenced the ecosystem in the world that we live in today, but it's also dead and fossilized at this point. So it doesn't really have the same impact anymore. You got to go look at it in a museum. So I feel like maybe we've been setting our target at the wrong thing this entire time. It's not the creation engine. It's the hubris of Bethesda. They're like, well, what do you want? We gave you all this freedom. We gave you this big, huge world. You can pile 1,000 potatoes into your spaceship. Isn't that great? I mean, listen, I said it before the game came out when people were defending the 30 FPS. I was like, listen to me now. That was cool in Skyrim. It was neat in Fallout 4. Nobody cares anymore. No one's impressed. I mean that. The vast majority of gamers are not like, oh, wow, I can roll 1,000 cheese wheels down a mountain. When you played Skyrim, you were like, this is unprecedented. This is crazy. Now, people are like, but Oblivion. I'm talking about mainstream gamers. Like, the broad spectrum of the gaming public thought, this is crazy what we're doing here. Fallout 4 comes into the picture, and the age of the engine, or maybe the vision of Bethesda, starts to show. And it's like, this is cool, but it's not that cool anymore. Starfield enters the picture, and people are like, this doesn't even feel like a modern game. You've got loading screens everywhere. Graphics and performance are unimpressive. They're fine. They're passable. I mean, they upgraded the console version later to 60, and it runs largely fine as long as you're not in the major city. But to me, it's like, wait a minute. We've been looking at the wrong thing this entire time. You guys are committed to a vision of an RPG that includes things that I just don't think are that impressive anymore. I just don't think they're that impressive. It's like, wow, somebody filled their entire ship with potatoes. I don't care about that. Your game was boring. Object permanence will always be cool to me. Not me. Not me. That's like saying open world will always be cool to me. I don't think so. I think plenty of games have utilized open world to the game's detriment. I think you can utilize things that were impressive at a time, and now they're not that impressive. It's like, oh wow, an open world game? Who frickin' cares, dude? Every game's open world. You gotta do something in that open world. You gotta do something with object permanence, not just, yeah, you can collect a bunch of potatoes, or yeah, you can pick up everything, or yeah, you can grab every trinket, every cup, every paper clip. So, what does that do to my experience? Let me say it another way. Everything is subservient to the content loop. Everything. Your dialogue system, your story, your writing, your voice acting, your combat, your guns, your skill trees. Everything is subservient to the gameplay loop, the content loop. What am I doing in your game? What am I doing for the next couple of hours? What? Everything should be serving that, to elevate it, to make it excellent. And I don't think object permanence does that anymore. It's like, okay, I can walk around an office and I can pick up everything. Neat. What does it do to elevate the content loop, to elevate the gameplay? I've done this before. We have cover-based shooting mechanics. Cool. I've done that before. How does your cover-based shooting mechanics elevate and be in subservience to the gameplay? Does it make it feel new and neat or fresh or innovative? Does it make it feel excellent, or does it pull it down? Do you see what I'm saying? The average person that boots up Starfield and says, you know what? Loading screens, not the greatest performance, not the greatest fidelity, kind of boring, kind of slow, kind of plodding, shooting's fine. All that is overridden because object permanence. I don't think the average person is weighting the score of the game in that way. To me, everything, gameplay and the content loop is God. I have said this before. All must serve it. If you don't serve it, then you will be smited. The game will be bad. We've all played plenty of games where movement, dodging, parrying, shooting, something isn't quite as good as it should be, and it just pulls the game down. It's like, yeah, I don't want to be in this game for very long. This doesn't feel good to be in. Everything is subservient to the gameplay loop. Everything. If your dialogue is excellent, your writing and your voice acting is excellent, it elevates the gameplay. Why? I want to be in this world. I want to be around these people. I want to hear them talking. I want to see the next cutscene. I want to see the next story beat. I want to beat the next mission. Why? Because your story and your writing were written in a way to serve the gameplay. Listen, we talked about this in a variety of other ways. There's plenty of games where the story and the dialogue and the writing is focused on other things. You guys know what I'm talking about. There's plenty of games that have done this. They're like, we don't need to get into a big debate about that. And what's that typically do? It typically pulls aspects of the gameplay down because it's immersion breaking. You've all played a game where the voice actors aren't that great and you end up skipping through. That hurts the gameplay now. Like when I played Ghost of Tsushima, they don't let you skip the cutscenes. If the voice acting would have been poor, if the writing and the story beats would have been bad, it would have been a detriment to the gameplay because I would have been like, I have to suffer through this every time I do a side mission, main mission, or offbeat quest. Yeah, Star Wars Outlaws is a great example. Instead of creating a bunch of things that were designed to serve and elevate the gameplay, it was just, let's just have a bunch of different things that you can do, and none of them arrive in an excellent quality, and so it ends up pulling the gameplay loop down. Oh, Silent Hill 2? Yeah, we could do that. I think it'd be fun to make Madam play Silent Hill 2 on Friday night, but that'd have to be the stretch goal. You guys are going to have to hustle. The last week, you guys went crazy on Friday, so falling behind today doesn't write the week off, but you can certainly make it easier on yourselves. Make sure you're checking to see if you have a renewal or an upgrade that you want to do. We're 9 away from me having to drop another 5-bomb as well. Every 25, I give 5. While I mostly agree, RPGs are different for me. I care more about the dialogue in RPG systems than the gameplay combat. Okay, yeah, so Lone Wolf, I think that's fine to approach an RPG and you're like, if the dialogue and the RPG systems over here are very good, I can overlook some of the roughness of like gameplay or shooting or something like that. Yo, Rainwaters, welcome back in as a member. Keep in mind, Rainwaters, that is the standard membership. That's designed for gifting. So if you are paying for your own membership, you're going to want to bump up out of that category, or you're not going to get into all the content. You're not going to get into the green room. I think open worlds are still great, but they need to be cut down on the bloat or find a very unique and fun way to do side missions. Harbinger, I think to me, object permanence in Starfield, to me, is very akin to open world. It's like, just because you do open world doesn't mean it's automatically impressive and value enhancing. It's like, yay, open world. Is it designed well? Is there things to do in it? Does it have exploratory purpose? Like, Elden Ring's open world is excellent. Breath of the Wild's open world is excellent. Horizon Forbidden West's open world is excellent. But then I think it's okay for a game like God of War Ragnarok or Final Fantasy 16 to come into the picture and say, we're not really going to do open world. We don't really feel the need to. Do you want to know what game I think would have been significantly better if it wasn't so open world and it was more open area, more linear? Rise of the Ronin. I think Rise of the Ronin would have been able to put their combat more center stage and probably gotten better performance out of their game if they would have gone more of a design like FF16 or Ragnarok. Yeah, Red Dead Redemption 2 is another excellent open world game. I'll agree with that. So to me, it's got to serve the game. And I think Bethesda ends up making a game that serves the systems. It's backwards. It's like, you're serving the system. It's like, well, we need object permanence. We need all these items. We need to do these things. So you're serving that. And what does it do? It kind of pulls the game into the orbit of that system. It's like, well, now the game is orbiting around this. So you're likely going to have more loading screens. You're likely going to have less priority on performance. You're likely going to have less priority put on just, I don't know, gameplay, fluidity, all those things. Everything starts to orbit around the mechanics. That's why whenever I listen to Todd Howard talk, it's like I feel like you have priorities that aren't in line with what I think should be in place for games like this. It's funny, Rise of the Ronin without open world is basically Neo without the Souls mechanics. Well, what's interesting, Corey, is that the open world aspect of Ronin is one of the things that hurts it the most. It pulls certain things down. It does. Yeah, it's not a new head. Oh, yeah. There's a new head of Xbox Game Studios. Yeah, he's replacing somebody who's retiring. Somebody by the name of Alan Hartman, I believe, is retiring. It's not like a leadership shakeup. It's not like Matt Booty. A lot of people were thinking that like Matt Booty was gone or something to that effect. That's true. I find myself doing side stuff so much that I get away from the main story, and that can be a very bad game design. In which game do you find yourself doing that, and why do you feel like it's bad game? Like, what experiences are you having? What? Okay, that's a brand's new development. They're not letting... Okay. They're not letting us practice. Or if we could practice somewhere else. They're not letting us use the field. They didn't tell us this. Apparently, this year they are not allowing teams to practice even in an unofficial way. Go find a park? That's what I'm saying. I can't think of anywhere we could go. That's dumb. That's what I'm saying. I don't understand why you would give teams a bye and not let those teams practice. Like, isn't the entire reason to give us the bye, like if you gave teams a bye in a league, you wouldn't forbid them from practicing. You'd be like, yeah, you're not allowed to practice. Everybody better stay home. You're all on house arrest. It's like, no, you would say, yeah, you have a bye. Use the time wisely, I guess. The game has side content. You're officially following that instead of the main quest. How is that bad design? Yeah, I don't necessarily know if that's bad design. Don't risk getting DQ'd. Yeah, like, would they disqualify us if we went and practiced somewhere else? Not practicing increases injury risk. Like, I understand being like, you can't use our fields, but like, I don't know if you can forbid us from practicing. Like, hey, you're not allowed to go practice. This is intended to maintain competitive balance, as not every team has access to a practice field throughout the tournament. They're trying to cater to weaker teams. NFL has rules around how much you can practice, but weird for youth soccer. I get what they're saying, because there are teams that would ordinarily be practicing tonight, and they can't because the fields won't be available. They'll be being used for games. But last year when we showed up, there were more than enough fields not being used, so we just practiced. Like, we just showed up anyway. Competitive balance, get that stacked team up off the bracket. Yeah, I know. I'll just say I don't have a solution or place to go instead. If the parents email and they come up with their own solution, I didn't initiate it. Aaron Wright with 22 months. What up, Reforge Gaming? Excited to jump into New World for the first time tomorrow on PS5 use. Thank you so much. And guys, sorry, I typically don't respond to emails while I'm live, but like, the parents need to know, hey, don't show up tonight. Like, they're not letting us practice. Just show up. No, it's not a public field. It's their property. Yeah. It's their property. And again, I understand why they're doing it. I didn't consider the fact that, like, some of the fields tonight will be used for tournament games. So if a team showed up to practice, they'd be like, we're not able to practice. But my problem with that is the only teams that would show up to practice are teams that have a bye. All the rest of your teams have scheduled games tonight and tomorrow night, supplanting their practice. It's like, they wouldn't show up to practice. They're showing up to play. Have a team meeting and go over game plans. Yeah, I'd have to check the official rules. I don't think they've ever said you can't practice if you get a bye week. They also don't have rules about, like, we could have been meeting somewhere else and having 2 practices a week if we wanted. How's the girls team going, by the way? They had their last game and they played amazing. It's always a bummer when it's like, oh, I wish you guys could have been playing like this all year, right? As soon as they start to gel, the season's over. And the tournament got pushed back because the season got pushed back. Half my team, half my girls' team can't even come. So we're just gonna forfeit. I'm not gonna make them show up and play down a player against the stacked team. I'm not gonna do that. So. So basically a disadvantage to finish good enough to earn a bye. Right, we're going to be playing against a team that won. We're going to play the winner of round 1, which means they got to practice. Like, you can't forfeit them? Sure I can. I'm not going to make the 6 or 7 girls out of the 12 that can actually show up. I'm not going to make them show up and get beat down for an hour. That's pointless. Half the team can't make it. Half the team can't make it. They were anticipating this last weekend was supposed to be the end of the season. So it's like, I'm not going to do that. That's really not fair. Hey, you guys are available. Let's all show up and get the crap kicked out of us for an hour. That's not a good idea. That's not in the spirit of the tournament anyway. It's in the spirit of the tournament to say, hey, the schedule got extended. We don't have a full team. We're gonna bow out, you know? And I have parents that don't even want to be involved with it. They don't even want to be a part of it. After what happened the last time we faced the really strong team, they're like, we don't even want to be involved with playing them again. And I'm like, all right. Okie dokie. All right, we're going to go to the writer's room in 13 minutes. We're well off topic, but I had to. That's a life lesson. Life is not always fair. Happened to my team when younger. It's not a life lesson to have a sport it's set up in a way that is inherently unfair. I think that that's stupid and worthy of criticism. I would rather us play in round 1. Our feet would be fresh on Saturday. You know what I mean? You're not doing my team a favor. You're doing my team a disservice for being good. Like, what? So we played really well, and we're now put at a disadvantage? That doesn't make any sense at all. You know what I mean? I know in the state I live, some of the rules for high school sports are just absurd. Email the admin, ask if you're disallowed or just can't use the field. If none of the parents make a suggestion, then there's no reason for me to say anything. There's no reason for me to say anything. If a parent suggests, let's go somewhere else, then I could ask the guy in charge. Be like, are we allowed to go somewhere else? I've got parents and kids that want to practice. What's your and barrier solution? You didn't see my solution? Oh, go to whichever parent has the biggest backyard. It's not a life lesson for those girls to go out there and get beat down for an hour without part of their team. That's just mean and wrong. Lono got that right, that part right. Yeah, that's not in the spirit of the game or the tournament or a pickup league. Like, the schedule got bumped. We had no control over that because of Hurricane Helene. So the schedule, the whole schedule got bumped back a week. Well, none of the families were anticipating playing soccer this week. They thought it was going to be over 2 days ago. So half the team's not available. You know? Half the team's not available. It's like having half the team show up, no subs, we won't even have a full team. We'd be playing down a player against a team that hasn't lost and has double the amount of points of everybody else for the season. It's like, what's the point of that? Oh, what did you say, Barrier? Build your own better field for $700. Who's hyped for Resident Evil 9? Yeah, I'm curious what direction they'll take. Will it be more like Village or will it be more like 7? Will they go back to more of a classic style, you know, like, well, I guess Village was more of a return to classic style. Yeah, I'd be interested to see what the direction is. We have independent thoughts. Football, not soccer. Don't let the English hear you say soccer. I live in America, so They'd have to hop in a plane, fly over here, and tell me to stop. You know? I hope they go back to third person, says Eugene. I don't really have a strong preference, you know? I just hope it's great for the fans. If I end up not liking it, I think that's fine. Like, they do such different versions of Resident Evil over the years, you know? If they go back to third person, if they do something more similar to Resident Evil 7, obviously I'd be really thrilled. I just hope it's good. You know, if I play it and I'm like, yeah, they structured this in a way that's really not my jam, then, you know, I'd be disappointed, but that's okay. I think that's okay. As long as the fans are happy. Like, if hardcore Resident Evil fans are happy, then, you know, I'm happy for them. Village gives you the option, so that's cool. I'd love a return to fixed camera angles. Oh, yeah, they're definitely not going to do that. Question from Satire Gamer. Guys, as a member, you can submit questions. We are, how many members away? We are 8 members away from 50, and I'll have to gift 5. And if you upgrade, be sure to tell us that you've upgraded. Satire Gamer says, what do you think the Game of the Year contenders this year will be? Well, there's the guaranteed spots. There's probably going to be 6 nominations. The guaranteed spots are Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Astrobot, Metaphor, and Like a Dragon. I think those are guaranteed. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. I think those are guaranteed 4. Those last 2 spots could go, honestly, to anybody. You could see Animal Well up there. You could see Balatro up there. You could see something kind of sneak out of the shadows that hasn't had a lot of talk, but has a lot of good, you know, vibes in the reviewing world. I mean, Helldivers 2 could sneak up there because of the vibe around the game at launch, but the vibe around the game is not great right now. That might actually hurt it. I don't think that's recency bias. I just think that's a dilemma with a game that rises and is praised and loved so much, and then, you know, falls down so significantly far. So yeah, I think those are your 4 guaranteed spots, and then the other 2, yeah, the challenge with Wukong is it's a voting process, and Wukong didn't score high enough. You know, it's down hanging out with like Space Marine 2 and other games. Not that their scores are bad. They're just not very high in comparison to games like Astrobot and Metaphor. Final Fantasy, Astrobot, and Metaphor have insane scores. Yeah, Silent Hill 2 could end up there. We've had remakes up there before. Yep. We have had remakes up there before, so Silent Hill 2 could be up there because it's got a good score. My thoughts on Dragon Age have been, you know, pretty consistently that they're not going to... I don't think Dragon Age is going to score high enough to be up there. So, yo, Eugene with a VIP... I need to know which old membership to compare this one with so I can argue unimportant minutia with you later. Shut up. 43. Are we going to scramble? You guys got 6 minutes to get 7 members. A bunch of singles would do it. A bunch of renewals would do it. Make me drop the 5 bomb. A couple upgrades would do it. Somebody asked for John Linneman to be removed from Digital Foundry's show. Why would you remove John? He's great. Your personal game of the year is Astrobot? Yeah, I think I would pick Stellar Blade because I think the combat was just more my vibe. It really reminded me of Sekiro in all the good ways. Just the, you know, the tight parry windows and stuff and the really satisfying fights. But then Astrobot was just, yeah, they're so different, it's hard. Patrick Q says, come on, boys. Let's do a last-minute scramble, and he bumps the line to 44. And Alex renews and bumps the line to 45. We're a 5-bomb away from 50. And Sneaky Wolf gifts one. Little train here at the end. We don't want to fall too far behind. I'll play a spooky game Friday afternoon with you guys, and if you hit the stretch goal, we will do the Friday night stream. We're moving Friday evenings We are moving Friday evenings to Friday afternoon. And +1 comes in from Paul and bumps it to 47. Thank you so much, Paul. Appreciate you. And a gifted from Harbinger. Little scramble at the end. You guys that are getting gifted members can come with us to the next segment. It's the writer's room. Did John ever get back to you on the other games? No, he's not replied. I don't know if he doesn't check DMs all that often. He still follows me, and we've DM'd in the past, so it could just be that he always has lots of DMs, because we've had very cordial DMs in the past. When are the Game Awards? Game Awards have been scheduled for December. I don't know the exact date. It's in December. Early December. And that takes us to 49. Trill Troll, 12 minutes Friday stream. Let's go. Thank you in advance. Shut up, Trill. And Alex rounds us out to 50. There it is. That's halfway to what you want to get on a Monday. That's going to have to be good enough. We got to go. We can't stay here forever. You guys have 3 minutes. You want to average about 100 a day to hit the goal before Friday. You guys went crazy on Friday, though, so all hope is never lost with this community. We had a great time on Friday night. Sven says, my personal game of the year is probably Space Marine 2. Admittedly, I've been playing it with a bud, though. I haven't gone back. I actually uninstalled it because I've just got so many other games to play. And I want to go back, though, since they made those improvements, especially to the AI. They made improvements to AI, and it made me say, okay, maybe I should go back and see if it's good single, because I just don't have people I can play that with, and I know it wouldn't be. I think it would be too much. It'd be a bit too much for Madam. It'd be a bit too much. It'd be too intense. If a game just gets too crazy, too high intensity, she doesn't enjoy it. I stopped playing it. I should go back. Yeah, my main issue was primarily it just for single player. It was like, man, this is probably a blast with other people. This is probably a blast with other people, but it just wasn't by yourself. The AI, the combat flow, the range attacks, all the things they adjusted in a patch, like everything I kind of took issue with, they fixed. They directly addressed in one of the updates. So it wasn't, I don't think I was like off in left field on it. They specifically addressed all those things in a patch. And I don't know if it got any better. I hope Rebirth gets Game of the Year. That team deserves and needs it. I'm afraid Square Enix will cut the budget for the third game. Well, I think they've learned some valuable lessons about you can't just keep launching stuff so close together. I think that hurt. I also think doing FF7 Remake and then FF7 Rebirth, I think is a little confusing. It's like, what you know what I mean? It's, I don't know. This is what Helldivers would look like in VR. We can check that out in Writer's Room. Let me provide you guys with a link. Thanks so much for the support today. Smash like before we get out of here. Had a little bit of a blip that hurt us early in the stream. It kind of continues to happen. This time it was something on my end, and a lot of times it's on YouTube's end. But I'm going to spam a link in chat. Let's head to the Writer's Room. Thanks so much for being a member. You might have gotten gifted a member last week. A ton of people gifted on Friday. We're off to a nice strong start this week, already 50, either renewals or gifteds, and I gifted some. If you guys upgrade to Member Plus or VIP, let me know. If we get 5 of those in a day, I am going to be gifting 20 members. We do want to give people the opportunity to do that, and then also just help the community. We're trying to get up to 600 people at Member Plus and above. So consider doing that. It's $1 more. I'm going to close out the previous stream and redirect people over, and then I'll make sure and change that thumbnail so that it doesn't show that we're live anymore. And